How to decorate a notebook. First, you're gonna need a notebook. Secondly, you're gonna need a lot of glue and scissors. First step, get acquainted with your notebook because every notebook is different. Mine had a cover, it was almost like a plastic on top too, so I decided to take the cover off. You don't have to, but since it was plastic, I thought it would stick better to the cardboard underneath, so I actually tore some, not all, but most of my cover off. Also, any stickers that are on the book, you'll want to take those off because you might get fill or even see them underneath the material you're putting on top of it. And then, depending on how light the material is you're covering it with, you might can see the old cover underneath it. I've had that happen. And yeah, so you just decide that, and then you can decorate it with anything: movie covers, scrapbook paper, book pages, sheet music, little piece of paper, beads, glitter, ribbons, material, lace, markers, stickers, duct tape. You know, be creative, use your imagination. So I'm just laying everything that I had planned on using out here. And then okay, so if you're using like a cardboard VHS cover, what I did, because I didn't want to glue down the whole thing because it's kind of thick, I tore some of it off, like I'm showing here. This is hard because, as you can see, it started tearing. That was really frustrating. But I was able to save her face. You know, sometimes things don't work out the way you want, but you just kind of work around it, and it turns out. Here, oh yeah, I wasn't able to get as much of that as I wanted off, but I said Jane Austen, so that was cool. And then, just kind of lay everything out, kind of imagine or try to figure out how you want to put everything down. I didn't, envision all this in my head. I just knew I wanted to make a Pride and Prejudice notebook, and I got a bunch of things that look like Pride and Prejudice, and then I kind of laid them out, trying to think about how I wanted things to look, what would look good. And then from there, you just start gluing things down. I'm leaving excess around the edges because I'm going to bend it down and make a nice edge. I'm spreading my glue out with a paintbrush. It helps it lay down smooth once it dries. It really does work because later I did not do that and I could tell the difference. So edges are very important. You want to get all the edges down, and yeah, spreading the glue. And some notebooks you won't be able to bend, or some notebooks you don't have to bend, your material around the edges like I do later. But for this type of notebook, I wanted to. I'll show you later. And then just making sure everything's glued down nice. And that little piece tore there, but that's fine. It makes it look more antique. And then here's the front cover. This is where I don't spread my glue out with a paintbrush. And like I said, I could tell after it had dried there were beads of glue that I could feel underneath it. That was very frustrating. The bind is a tricky part. I do that later because you never know once it dries if the book's gonna open or close. And of course the edges, very important. And then there I'm putting that little piece to cover up. And sometimes you'll have like a little open space where you can see the notebook cover or the raw notebook, and you can find stickers and stuff. Okay, so you weigh it down for like a couple of hours. Of course, there was glue on the front of the notebook, so it stuck to my board. But I just covered that up with some lace later, and it worked out great. Here I'm cutting some of the excess off so it'll be easier to work with the notebook. Also, when you weigh it down with a book, I would not advise using a paperback book, because if there's glue on the front of the notebook, it is going to stick and it might ruin your book cover. So what I use is a book cover that has like a plastic kind of cover, something that the glue won't rip off if it's dried to it. And okay, so here I am. Well, I'm doing the bind. I do the other side of the inside cover. Like I said, the bind is a tricky part. You just got to figure out how to lay everything down. Sometimes you have to keep working with it until it's pliable and stays down. I haven't ever had any trouble with the book not opening, so yet. Okay, and so like I did with the other side, I just peeled the white cover. And not every notebook has like the inside cover, you know, the white. So you don't have to do this to every notebook. Most of the time I don't, because this might be the first notebook like this that I've worked with. But yeah, you tuck it and you glue it down. I really should have waited till I had everything on the cover, because later you'll see I didn't get everything underneath the white. And then of course working with glue on white is difficult, because sometimes the glue gets stuck to your fingers and then you smear it on the pages and it's dirty and stuff, and it's just frustrating. So I had to keep wiping it off my fingers. Yeah, and it creates a nice clean edge finish. And on the top and the bottom of the bind is another really hard part. I just cut it off. You could see some of the old cover, but there was really nothing I could do. Here I'm gluing the lace down. Okay, if you glue lace down, I wouldn't advise putting anything like a book or anything on top of it, because if you do, the glues, since the lace is sheer, the glue is probably gonna dry through. And if you put any sort of like diamonds or accessories, the notebook isn't going to lay down flat, so that could be a little frustrating. So just keep that in mind, that you can't really stack it like a normal notebook because it's not flat. But it is pretty when you do that. And here I'm gluing the other side of the notebook with the lace. It's very fast-paced. Okay, so I would advise using Mod Podge or making your own. You can do that. There's like recipes on the internet. I just did regular glue, and this works well. If it's paper, see, I had the movie covers, and since the movie covers are shiny, once the glue dries, it's dull, and then if you scratch it, it starts peeling off. So really, I need to stop putting the glue on the movie covers, because they look fine shiny. It's actually nice. And here I'm cutting excess off. See, I should have waited to do the tuck thing, but it still looked nice. And I was actually able to tuck the lace in up at the top. I was like, wow, I can do this. So I put some glue so it would be permanent. And then I had a little spot where you could see the old ugly colors, so I put some stickers there. And then I wanted it to be more Pride and Prejudice-y, so I used my stencil. I really should have done more calligraphy because this wasn't as pretty, but I just wanted something different. And so I put ardently admire and love you on the front. And then with the ribbon, you can seal the ends of ribbons, the end of a ribbon, to keep it from fraying by lighting it, or like using a lighter, just to slightly singe it or burn it, and it keeps it from fraying because it melts it. But I didn't know how long I would need the ribbon to be, and I certainly didn't want to catch my notebook on fire. So once I cut the ends off, I just sealed it off with some glue, and it works fine. So that worked out. And then I'm gluing the pendant on the front. Yeah, it made it look really vintage and nice. And then I'm doing my glue, not really Mod Podge, and here's the finished notebook. I'm really pleased with the way it came out. It came out way better than I anticipated. It is a lot of fun decorating notebooks. If you like being creative and DIYs. It's not perfect, and here I did an Eiffel Tower one. Probably a little overkill. If I ever started using it, those beads would probably start falling off. That's another note. I've made others, like a Christie notebook, one calls the heart, even an anchor one. So yeah, it's just, using your imagination. So thanks for watching. I hope if you try this project out that you enjoy it.